Hello all, Alison here. Welcome to Tag Time and a very happy new year to you. All being well, this should be posted on the 1st of January 2025. And so, yeah, I wish you all the very best for us all, really, over the course of this year. Tag Time is going to be about tags, understandably. Sometimes we might look at past tags, but for the most part, my aim is to take some of the many backgrounds we make during some of those Saturday sessions when I'm just playing with things and ideas and products and take them on to some of the next stages. Sometimes they might even be backgrounds that I've made eons ago, before I was even filming for YouTube, and taking those on. I've just been having a look at some of the backgrounds we made before Christmas with starry, sparkly things going on and birch forests. And I think the two that are moving me this morning are probably these very subtle, I think they were flipped stencil prints. One where you can quite clearly see the birch forest, and one where it's a little bit more sort of subtle and subliminal, but still with those icy winter colours. We had a glorious sunrise this morning over the hills. Excuse my voice, it's still a little bit croaky. I'm feeling much better. Thank you for all the well wishes. But yeah, I may have to pause occasionally to just go and blow my nose or cough something up. Sorry, that's not a nice image for the 1st of January, but there we are. That's the truth of where we're at. So I sort of feel like it's going to be quite simple this morning. I'm feeling bare and sparse, and the architecture of the winter landscape, the bare bones of the beauty of branches against the sky, of hedgerow plants. And so, yeah, I have grabbed my own designs for PaperArtsy. Obviously, I could draw freehand on here because these botanicals are my drawings. But it's clearly much easier to just stamp them. So I'm thinking maybe some of the little versions in the foreground and the main stem. I think it might be that one. I think it might be these winter grasses. Ignore the titles on mine, then they're not correct because they were the very first draft versions of the stamps, but it is EAB42 and it is winter grasses. And so yeah, I think it might be this. There's also some really nice textures on these ones, winter textures. So there's a wood grain bark, there's some ice crystals thanks to salty watercolours, and there's some sort of Jack Frost ice patterning, which was a bit of cling film work with paint. So maybe we want some of that texture in here as well. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna have a play and see what happens. Maybe with the bark. Given we've got trees, we should maybe have bark texture. I'm going to keep it quite subtle, though, and maybe stamp in decisions. My brain is not really up to decisions at the moment. I'm going to let layers build, start quite pale, therefore, so that it's not too full on before I know what I'm doing. As you can see, I've not bothered mounting it on an acrylic block because I just want a sort of a sense of texture. That's stamped in Archival Pebble Beach, and as you can see, it just gives me a kind of grounding, the earth underneath the trees here. We might make it a little bit frosty in a bit with a bit of white spatter. You know me. So yeah, just enjoying some gentle stamping today, because that's maybe all it really feels like wanting, because these backgrounds have a subtlety and a beauty to them that is really ethereal. There's something about a misty morning look to these that I don't really want to mess with too much, if you know what I mean. So I think it might be this long stem, it's kind of maybe up either side in a deep foreground, which means I do want that in a darker colour. And this one I will put onto a stamp block. Let's see, what do we think we want? Maybe potting soil? Or do we want to go blue? Maybe it would be nice to go blue. We could even go purple, given the trees are in a sort of purpley colour. Maybe a purpley shade of blue, which would give us a chipped sapphire kind of place. Although, of course, if I do that, I can't afford to get too wet over the top because it's not an archival ink. Maybe better... We'll go with Night. This is a custom ink pad that I inked up with a re-inker in the colour of Night, which I think might be a Dina Waitley colour. Not entirely sure. Oh, it's always a risk at this point, but I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to do it and then wish I'd gone brown, but we'll see. Just firm pressure down. I quite like that. Obviously, I'll need some more Night along the foot here to make sure that that balances, those colours balance. But I think there is something rather nice and mysterious about the blues and the purples, and something very wintry, obviously. I'm going to lean a little bit in that direction this time so we get a slightly different angle on the stamp. And rather than going straight for the miniature version, I might do another little sprig of this, coming sort of part way up, just overlapping out into the forest like so. Ah, now you're talking. Okay, let's have one of those on this one as well. And you can see, as always, because I'm working in a pair, I'm working to balance and create harmony, and yeah. Oh, see, that's already making me quite happy. You know the score. I might just take, at this point, a little bit of this Night along the bottom here, just to meld in with that texture stamp that we added, and to create some shadowy sort of beauty around the bottom of the tag. That's just a blending tool with a sponge on. And then if I pull backwards, I just get the very edging. And I think, yes, just a subtle edging all the way around the top might just draw the eye inwards rather beautifully. I mean, look, take a moment to just enjoy the difference that creates in terms of drawing our eye into the mystery of the forest in the depths. So yeah, same thing here. And ordinarily I would probably do this down on the mat, bringing the ink on, but I want to hold it. I want to get a bit closer to it. Got that sort of feeling about these tags. Up and around the edge. And it, I say feeling, it is a feeling. It's allowing yourself to respond emotionally to what's happening on the table in front of you, and trusting that that's a real thing. Even when I had the bulk of the tags on the mat to start with, and just trying to work out what I wanted to play with today, it was an emotional pull, not a sort of, oh, I think there's something I could do with these, or maybe I should try X. It was just looking and allowing the tag to draw me towards it. So I've got these little bits of stamping on the mat. I'm going to get rid of that. The silicone mat allows me to clean off. If you're using archival ink, you might find there's a bit of staining even on these white proof mats, but if you can't get rid of it with a bit of water, then very often a bit of rubbing alcohol will get you back to pristine. See, and now, because I like them a lot at the moment, I second guess the next steps, because I don't want to spoil them. And I know that's also a real thing for lots of people, the not wanting to take the next step in case something goes wrong. But there isn't wrong, there's just another step, and learning from it and discovering how it relates to what's gone before. This is the little, oops, don't go, don't leave me. This is the sort of tiny little sketch version of that same one, and it's quite useful for just adding extra layers of texture. So rather than tap, tap, tap onto this, let me show you what I'm talking about on a spare bit of paper. Yeah, back of this. So when you tap, tap, tap your ink down onto a stamp, you'll get a nice dark colour stamping. You can, of course, then go for a secondary stamping, which will give you something paler because you've got less ink on the stamp. But also, if you rub across the surface of the stamp with your ink pad, as opposed to tap, tap, tapping, you should, she said, promising, get a version that is, yeah, similar to the secondary stamping. So if you don't want to stamp and then stamp again, you could just go for a nice subtle wiping, swiping, smooshing. What am I doing here? I'm going to go with wiping the ink onto the stamp, and you'll get a subtler shade of that same colour. So yeah, they really are, they're sort of subliminal, they're background layers. As things go into the background, they tend to be paler. Things in the foreground tend to hit the eye with more presence. So that's, again, just giving me some layering back into the depth of the forest. I do want one coming a bit further up this tree at the side, so I'm just going to position that in there so that I've got that sense of those branches. And yeah, it might be here as well, just subtly. I now want to go for a walk in that woodland glade. As well as the beautiful sunrise. It's now a glorious day out there. Really frosty, blue skies. Oh, there goes the train in the valley. Don't know if you can hear that because the windows are shut, because it is pretty cold out there. And I'm in two minds about going for a walk, given I'm still a bit coldy. I could wrap up warm and get out there in the fresh air, or I could just stay safely indoors where it's warm. And I'm gonna tap, tap, tap down onto the mat to give myself just some little dark ones right at the front here. Just little tiny, right in the foreground, creating that depth. Darker versions. Let's go down this side. Yeah, there it is. Look, do you see that happen? And it is worth taking that risk. Yeah, that's really quite happy making. I've lost the lid of my ink. There it is. Yeah, enjoying those considerably. And how much quicker than me drawing it freehand is that? And of course, PaperArtsy stamps available all over. I will link down below the PaperArtsy stockist list so you can have a look where in your country they're nearest to you. And I will also obviously link the Starry Backgrounds video down there. So if you haven't seen that, that will be there for you to take a look at. Wondering about using some of this ephemera. All my stamp sets, or most of my stamp sets, except the ones that are completely just quote collections, have bits of ephemera to play with. I think what I might want is some sort of hovering text, which might mean it's not these stamps. Oh look, I'm going to need the words from on here. On this one there are fragments of poetry, poem extracts from Emily Dickinson, Thomas Hardy, and Tangled Stems Scored the Sky. It's a Thomas Hardy little snippet that I think might go very nicely on here. Do I want something sort of ephemery? Ephemery? Is this a word? Ephemeral. That would be better. Do I want something ephemeral with this, or do I just want to go words now and spatter? Tough call. I think it might just be words and spatter. You know, it might just be one of those days. Maybe, just maybe. Let's see if I've got some here so that I can take a look. Maybe, just maybe, we want a little bit of cheesecloth. This is the Tim Holtz mummy cloth, but it's what in 1970s Britain we used to know as cheesecloth. and it comes apart in a beautifully sort of textural way, so as long as you don't cut too straight. And if I were to cut, yeah, diagonally across the middle here, and then do some sort of pulling, and you can get threads coming out in all directions. You'll have seen this stuff. And that gives you just a sort of lovely snowy, ooh, do love a bit of texture. So maybe it's not just flat stamping today, maybe we do want texture in the mix. So pulling those apart gets you movement and texture and just a little bit of detail and interest going on. And what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking of stamping the words on. There was another of these tags that was just a sort of smooshy one, but the same color tones, picking up, yeah, there it is, picking up the ink that was left on the mat, I think, is all that was in that. And I'm just wondering about stamping some words on that, layering it over this, or maybe I just want to stamp direct. Oh dear, see, this is where going away from the mat for a little while is quite a good idea, and coming back and seeing what you've got. But the other option is that I could just stamp this, have a look at whether I like it or not. So this is The Stillness of the Solemn Air. That might be Richard Greenleaf Whittier, or it might be Emily Dickinson. I can't remember at present. All those details are in the stamp launch, actually, the video for which is still linked, I believe, in my link tree. I'm going to need to put my Linktree link around as well, aren't I? In the description. I'll endeavour to remember to do that. If I forget, please shout. But you can find your way to my website or blog there as well. Tangled Stems Scored the Sky. That's the other one I wanted, isn't it? So, and I'm stamping these in night again, so that they're going to echo rather beautifully the stems. There's the train going in the other direction. And now it'll be nice and quiet for the next couple of hours. I just need to time my filming a little better. Somehow, it always seems to be when the train's coming past. I don't think it always is. Sometimes it is. So yeah, I'm just trimming these so that I can have a look. And if I don't like it, then I won't use it. I'll keep it for a future tag. Stillness of the Solemn Air. It really is one of those sort of winter days out there at the moment. I think I might like it better if it were on white, not on this background. And I've got a little scrap of white paper here, so let's try that as well. So this is, it's always worth trying something else. If you're not actually changing what's happening on the tag, I can try this on as many different coloured pieces of card as I like until I find the one that makes me happy. Yeah, I think I like how the white is just going to pop against the background. And it's also nice that it's the same as the cheesecloth. It's sort of backing up that cheesecloth whiteness. And if we are going to spatter with white, which we are, then there's going to be some white appearing into the rest of that tag as well. Let's just trim a little more closely. There's something very peaceful about that. Other thing to try is maybe I don't want it the same side as the stems. Maybe I want it the opposing side of the stems. Let's stamp The Stillness of the Solemn Air so that we've got that as well on the white, not on the tag background. But we've lost nothing. It's a little bit of card that's been cut up. Okay, I now can't use this tag as a tag, or I could put in a different background in there. All sorts of things are possible. Everything is possible. No limitations. Go on, onto the mat, onto the grid. Good, tap, 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 because I want a dark stamping. Press down. Stillness. There's something about that phrase for me today. That's exactly the kind of day it is out there. There's a stillness and a calm in the air, in that frosty, sunlit space out there. There it is. And again, maybe we want it this side so that stem can go up. Yeah, I think I very often go so that the whole composition is coming up from one corner, but there's something about the opposing version that I'm quite enjoying today. There's something about allowing those stems to grow freely. Let's just double check the other way round that we don't want that one there and that one there. No, we don't. We want that one there and that one there. And that's partly because this stem is stamped a little higher so it can take the greater depth of that quote, but I think it was just a response. I'm not working with maths to work out what's going to go where. So those two quote fragments have come from EAB44, which is the Winter Umbels. There are, of course, poetry fragments also on EAB42. It's ripped down the side. I'm going to need to put those in a pack. Different ones, but you get all that you need really for making a tag or any other project, all on one stamp set. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue here. Going to place that cheesecloth and just spread it out a little more. Let those strands really run wild and free. A little lower. Got some coming off the bottom as well. And then just onto the back of here. Come on, glue. It's nearly empty, unfortunately, so it's a little bit unwilling to come out. I'm now thinking maybe I'd like some edging around that, like I had around the edge of the other tag, of the whole tag. I'm going to keep it subtle. That's just some night archival ink that is left on there. It might be called Night Sky. Don't put it on upside down. That would be a shame. We might just want a little bit more glue on that because I dropped it 3 times in the meantime. Pop a little bit more glue under there. Grand. And ink it before I glue it down this time. As you can see, you don't have to. You can pull it off and start again. But I think it's generally simpler if you can get your inking done before you glue down whatever it is you want to ink. That onto here. Let it spread out. A little bit of glue onto the back of here. Like so. Now I'm going to do some spatter now, and that might be it, you know. We'll have a look at how it looks with the spatter. That's going to be my PaperArtsy Fresco Snowflake chalk paint, just because it's deliciously opaque. And it gives me my lovely snowy spatter. In spring, it's motes of pollen and dust dancing in the sunlight. In winter, it's frost and snow and wind. I can always find an excuse to have white spatter, because for me it brings a little touch of life and spontaneity. Partly because one isn't completely in control of what happens when you do it. Off we go, hoping for the best. There it is. And as I say, it just ties in with the white of the card that we've got those words stamped on. Nice frosty, snowy woodlands. And I'm going to dry that so that the white paint doesn't start picking up ink colour from below. I might just pause you while I dry. Those are dry with lovely snowy spatter going through the woods, and I'm just looking at them and wondering whether I would like some dark spatter as well. It might be something like chipped sapphire. Ooh, this is going to be bold. We'll see. If we don't like it, I'll have some paper towel at the standby so that I can get rid of it if I don't want it. I quite want, that's pumice stone, my favourite, possibly of all distress inks. And I'm just going to mix those two together on there so that that chipped sapphire is not quite as full on. And I do love pumice stone in any case. And yeah, it's the darks that are just giving me a bit of contrast there. And again, waking things up in a way. I'm going to build them at the bottom so that there's again a depth to that undergrowth in the forest that is lighter as you head to the top of the tag, but nonetheless there. Yeah, that's doing something rather good alongside the white spatter. And given that's all there on the mat, I'm just going to take the opportunity to pick it up onto here. There we go. Splotch, splotch. Simple as that. Extra little details on that one if I want to cut some little birds. Oh, now, there's a thought. We cut some calling birds, didn't we, when we were doing the shimmery tags the other day. I wonder what I did with the birds. I just want to see whether maybe I want a little silhouette bird on these tags. I don't think that I do. I think this is going to be a hard no. He looks like he's sitting on top of the words. Let's look at the others. He could be sitting on top of the words. No, there's something a bit too cute about them. Cute and quirky. And today I think I'm looking for just bare beauty. So I think it might be as simple as a little bit of twine in the tops of those, and we might be done. I'm wondering about my mop-up tag. I'm just dabbing back that ink just to allow a little more subtlety to the splotches that we got. I'm wondering about a little doodled frame, but if I do that, what colour should it be in? Maybe white, or maybe we just leave it. One thing it would be worth looking at is seeing whether I want to mount these onto white, because that'll give you a, that again will echo this rather beautifully. Yeah, I think it might be that. I'm going to grab a piece of white card and I'll be right back. My white card is just some design card I bought in bulk very cheaply. It was being sold off, and some of the front designs are maybe usable in bits, but I'm not that wild about them. But what is useful is I got a load of beautiful white card very, very cheaply. It's not the best for using with mixed media because it kind of sucks in the ink, but for framing and mounting it's perfect. So it's just going to be a little bit of glue onto the backs of these. You don't really need to watch me glue things down. Gluing is gluing is gluing, but I'm just going to create a little border about the size I want on two edges, which means that with my lovely long bladed shears, I can just come up this side. And I'm not worried if it's a little wobbly, that's fine. It adds to the delight. And then I am, of course, going, in fact, that side's narrower than this side, so I'm now going to trim down this side just to balance things. I sometimes find myself with no card left. Balance, 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 and suddenly it's all gone. Little just scraping of night sky, I can't remember. I've written night on the thing, so let's hope that that's what it is. A little touch more. And again, it's just giving me that slight iciness around the edge and a sort of finished look. And it will also flatten out the tag a little bit. Let's take a look at the two of them next to each other so you can see the impact of that. It's just a subtle little extra detailing. Yeah, glad I did it. So I will do it to the other one as well. Let's just, what's all that mess? Oh, it's the sponge coming apart is what it is. Sponge needs replacing. It's leaving bits everywhere. A little bit of glue. You can see I'm not a disciplinarian about that. If there's glue, there's glue. If it comes up at the edges, it comes up at the edges, and that again gives you a kind of additional handmade rustic imperfection. I think imperfection might be a word I'm going to keep returning to this year. I think it's useful just in creative terms to get the judgment monkey off our shoulders. Leave me alone. Imperfect is good. I don't have to get it right. I don't have to create something wonderful every single time I'm at the craft table. I'm going to be here and play, and I'm going to explore imperfection and uncertainty and spontaneity and delight. Let's have a look at those against there so that I can get a clearer idea of what I've got. Great, I'm going to punch a hole through the tops of there, put in some of this white twine, and then I'll be back for a little close-up swirl into the depths of this forest, winter forest, misty landscape. Thanks so much for your company today. I hope that Tag Time will become a regular feature of your week. A thumbs up is always welcome, and do leave any comments or questions down below. As always, I'll try to leave as much detail in the description as I can. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love to have your company on this creative journey. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting all.